So this is the US dollar Japanese yen analysis for Monday 20th of November, USDJPY. Now let's just have a look what happened with prices on the 17th. So we're just going to grab the pen, and we've got the 17th just here. So in and around the 17th, we did see some quite a bit of sell side momentum come into this market. So we've had our previous swing there, and we did have a retracement, but we didn't take out the previous highs in around that 1330 level, in around, well, pretty close to 1340 actually, 1320, 1340. And we did have our previous swing there. We did almost retrace all the way back up there before we saw some strong sell side momentum coming to the market. We've come all the way down to this 1252 on the 17th. Now we went in this long period of consolidation, somewhat long for the time frame, before we saw the breakout to the downside. We came all the way down to 1215. We broke straight below it. We've had a small retracement up to that 1215 for a couple of retests, and we do appear to be not holding that level. So we do look poised for further downside momentum at the moment. So the first indicator that we did have on the 17th was this candle just there, in around at 1252 level. We did say 1252 has held as a major level in the past, over the past couple of weeks and months. So we did have a positive reaction to it there earlier in the week. And again, we've had a move up. We've held a 1276 just above that 1252. Again, we've had a bit of a double bottom before we had a move upwards. We didn't take out a previous high, which was somewhat a bearish sign. We did have a previous swing over here, so we did have what would be termed an head and shoulders actually. So we've got a shoulder just there. We've got a head there. We've got a lower shoulder than the previous shoulder, which is a bearish sign again. So we've got a high there. We've got a higher high, lower high, and again this shoulder over here, this left shoulder depends how you view it. We've got a shoulder over here which is lower, and again we've got the momentum taking us below this previous double bottom here as well. So we've had to move all the way down to 1252. We've had this bit of consolidation that we've already mentioned. We did not see a bullish sign. The very first bearish sign was this pretty large candle through the level, and we've had a strong continuation down. We didn't see much reaction through 1215, and again we're expecting further downside momentum. So let's just have a look at the potential target. So we've got the 1160 has been a level that which has held previously. So we're just going to have a look on possibly need a 12-hour chart actually. Oh no, surprisingly enough we don't. So the US dollar Japanese yen, I've gone on to a 6-hour chart to show you why 1160 is the level we'll be looking at. And we've seen prices come all the way down pretty close to that level. So I think it's 1180 on this occasion. And we've saw this strong buy side momentum all the way up to the major level of resistance of 1430, which has held more recently before we saw this strong move to the downside. So in around 1180 to 1160, we did see some buy side momentum come into the market earlier in the year. Now, well, a couple of weeks ago actually. So we saw the buy side momentum coming there around 1180 again on this occasion as well. We've got 1160. And we've saw some buy side momentum come into the market. He has held his resistance, well, minor resistance here, and we have come up to there. We've not closed above the level here on the 6-hour chart. We've had retracement before we've had strong buy side momentum taking us above the level. It's retested from the other side, and again it has held. Again, it's tested again. He has held for more buy side momentum. So 1160 is the next major level we'll be looking at. We're pretty close to 1160, it's about 40 or so pips at present. So we have to look for further downside targets. And just bear with me a second here. And the very next target possibly is around at 1073. And if we do break below 1163, beyond 1273, we'll be looking at in around this level just here, around that 109.50. So 109.50, I'm just going to mark that out on the charts as well. Around that 109.50 region. Just going to let's mark it out. I'm just going to change the color to red, because it's going to be a major level we'll be looking at in around that 109. It's pretty close to 109.60 there. Sorry about that. It's taking a lot longer than anticipated. So we'll be looking at 1073, 109.50, but ultimately I could anticipate 1073 may come into focus as is next logical level, but we have held 1160 has held on quite a few occasions, so we might see a somewhat bullish bounce from in and around that 1160 region. It's about 40 or so pips away, so we may see a bullish bounce all the way up to this 112. And again, if we do see further retracement, or we do not see a very positive move from 1160, we look at 1073 for another potential area for buy side momentum. So we're looking for 1160 possibly and 1073 for potential buy side momentum, but the overall trend is to the downside. So if we do have a shallow retracement, not all the way back up to a major level, we'll be looking for more sell side momentum, and we're looking for the targets at the lower levels below which, and below the 1073, we're looking at 109.50. Now let's have, so we did mention the upside potential upside targets. If we did see a counter trend move, we'll be looking at present 1215, 1252 and 1276. These are all levels we'll be looking to sell the market from, beyond which we'll be looking in around at 113 level, 113.20. Again, we're looking for those major swings in the market for potential sell side momentum in light of the most recent trend of a very strong a turnaround in trend from that major level of 1430. Very strong level. In light of us turning around from there, yeah, in light of it holding as a triple top in the market, again we'll be looking for more sell side momentum. So all the major levels above, marked out here in red and possibly in blue, are potential areas to see some more sell side momentum, especially as long as we operate in the shadow of the 1430. The strong sell-off from 1430 is more visible on the daily chart, but in light of that, we are bearish this market, as we have seen some momentum come into the market. So I'm just going to have a brief look at the daily chart. Just getting ahead of myself here. So on this daily chart, we mentioned that the 1430 is a very strong level. Again, we've seen here it has held as a triple top. We've seen a pretty heavy retracement. We saw heavy retracements in the past from that level, so we are operating in the shadow of it. So we'll target major levels below it for potential bounces, or before we have further continuation to the downside. So let's just have a look at the higher time frames, as we've pretty much wrapped up the hourly chart here. We've mentioned all the levels, so we're just going to have a look at the monthly before we go on to the weekly and the daily time frames. So what have I done there? 1073. So let's just move that back. I'm just going to lock that in. Let's get scale on here correct. So here on this monthly chart, we were up. We did look poised for bullish continuation so far this month of November. This month of November is proving to be a bearish month so far. It's going to be difficult to anticipate prices. Sorry about this. It's going to be difficult to anticipate prices moving all the way back up to 1430. But what we did see was a somewhat bullish move over the past 2 months. So we did look poised for continuation, possibly to retest in around a 115, 117, 353 and 1861. But we are currently operating near the month's lows, and we do look poised for another retest of the previous month's lows. And let's just see where that is. We might see some buy side momentum briefly come into the market, and these lows from the previous month is around at 1160 again. That's the level that we've mentioned. In terms of dynamic levels, let's just have a look here. Let's just get the scale on here correct. Just bear with me a second here. Just, there we go. And we are trending downwards. So we've got the 20 period moving average sitting at 109.64. So we've mentioned 109.50. That's the level we'll be looking at. We've got the 50 period moving average in around 11.53. 11.60 is the major level we'll be looking at for horizontal support. So we've got a 50 period moving average down there as well. 200 period moving average is quite a bit away. So it's going to take months for us to get all the way down to 105.90. So that's 200 period moving average is down there as well. 200 period moving average is quite a bit away, so I can't. It's going to take months for us to get all the way down to 105.90. So that's 200 period moving average is down there as well. 200 period moving average is quite a bit away, so I can't. It's going to take months for us to get all the way down to 105.90. So that's 20 period moving average down at 109.64 seems interesting, but of note really is that 50 period moving average here on the monthly time frame in around at 11.53, and we've got the major horizontal level of 11.60, so that may add to the confidence for potential balancing prices in around at 11.50, 11.60 region. Now let's just have a look. So the overall trend is somewhat indecisive in a way. More recently we've had lows and a higher low, so we've got our lows just down there. We do have potentially a higher low there, as pretty much as long as we don't negate the previous swing lows in around at 107.32, in around at 107.32 on this bullish candle just there. So as long as that we're still operating in the shadow of that bullish move from there, well, as long as we're operating in the shadow of this bullish move from 107.32, we're looking for potential upside momentum, but the most recent trend does appear to be the downside, as the 14.30 has held on 3 occasions now. So we do look poised for another retest in around at 110 level, well, 110 level. Now, but overall, as we can see here on the charts, we've got our highs there, we've got lows there, we've got a high and potentially having a higher low there, so we may get a bit of a squeeze before we see a major breakout in prices, either to the upside or to the downside. Now that's going to take several months, possibly years, for that to happen. Just depends how prices trade over the next couple of months or so. So let's just have a look at the weekly time frame. So on this weekly time frame, the trend isn't great here on this weekly time. It's not really a trend actually. So we've held this 114.30, and again we've had lows there, had a higher low, had a new lower low before we saw the strong move up towards that major resistance of 14.30. Now we are operating in the let's just see where we are. So we did have a poster pin bar in around that 14.30, which was the first sign of bearishness, and we did test the minor level in around 14.74. For again, we've posted another bearish week. Just there, we've had a strong sell-off week last week. We're closing near the candles low, so we do look poised for further continuation. But we must be what we must be cautious of is the dynamic levels below us here on this weekly time frame. So we do have the 200 period moving average where we are actually trading at the moment. So we're just going to see where the 200 period moving average is. 200 period moving average here on the weekly time frame is currently sitting at in around this 112.07. So we're operating just below it at present. So we've got the 200 period moving average, below which the very next above us we've got the 50 period at 12.30, and below us we've got the 20 period at 11.46, so it's pretty close to that 11.50, 11.60 zone. So we've got a 20 period moving average just below us as well on this daily time frame for potential balancing prices. The fact that we closed near last week's lows, we might see a retracement here on a Monday before a possible continuation for the rest of the week downwards. Now overall, I did mention that we're similarly we might be interpreted as being a bit of a trading range, because we've got the upper end of the range in around at 14.30. The lower end of the range is too difficult to anticipate, to actually state here, not anticipate, to state, because we've had our lows here and we've not retested lows and had retracement upwards. Instead we've posted a higher low, and this occasion we broke below it as well. So it's difficult. There's definitely the upper end of the range is up in around at 14.30. That's it. That's pretty easy to mark out, but lower end of the range is a bit more difficult, as we do not have a level from which we've consistently tested, and we've had strong buy side momentum more recently. Now we've had from the sell-off from this 1860, we've not retested there. Instead 14.30 has held, so we're still operating in shadow of that. So we look for potential buy side momentum in around the 110, or in between 110 and 107 for moves upwards. Now let's just have a look at the daily time frame before wrapping up here. So on this daily time frame, we did just have a brief visit here. So in around at 14.30, we've had a bit of a triple top at the moment, and we've seen some strong sell side momentum. Last Friday's candle was a very, very strong candle, closing near the lows. It's a pretty sizable candle as well. So we'll definitely look and see how we behave around at 11.60 region. We do have the daily 200 period moving average here in blue, just above that 11.60 region. I'm just going to see where that 200 period moving average on the daily chart is. We might have been used as reference by major market players. So we've got, it's in around at 11.74. So we do have quite a few dynamic levels of support below us, as well as the horizontal level of 1160. So again, we did find some support in around that 200 period daily moving average after we saw a retracement here in the most recent trend. So we had a trend that, well, not a most recent trend, but a trend previously. So we've had a move upwards. We've come back down to this 200 period moving average on the daily chart before we had a move to retest at 1430, which has held as a triple top before we're currently now seeing this sell-off of the US dollar against the Japanese yen. So we've mentioned all the downside levels we'll be looking at. So on this chart, again, the only thing of note really is the 200 period moving average in and around that 1160 region, just above it, for potential support. And again, we've got a 1073, and below that we've got 109.50, and below, and our most recent swing is all the way down to 107.30, just down there. It's not going to mark it on a chart yet. I'll mark it on a chart if we do get closer to that level. So that should wrap up the US dollar Japanese yen analysis. Thanks for watching.